Hello good yo-yo people, I'm Nate and this is Let's Talk Yo-Yo. Today I have a review for you, a collaboration yo-yo. I've been reviewing quite a few collaboration yo-yos. It seems to be the season right now. This is the second run of the Canary, which is a collaboration between Radical C's and Freshly Dirty. All right, this is my review of the Canary. All right, in the hand section, let's go ahead and talk about this really cool collaboration. So this particular colorway and the engravings that are on here, this is the canary in a coal mine. So back in the olden days, they used to put a canary in a coal mine and the canary died. That means you probably need to get the heck out of there, all right? So anyways, so if you look at the engravings on there, you can see it probably better over on the flyover. But you see the little canary with the little coal miner hat. It's adorable. It's adorable. I don't really like engravings on yo-yos. I like this one. Honestly, that engraving on there makes this yo-yo way cooler. Speaking of engravings, before I forget to mention it, if you take the yo-yo apart and you look at the response, now this was on the first one as well, but I forgot about it. And so when I got it, and the first time I had to take it apart, I was like, wait a minute, there's writing underneath the response. I forgot about that. And so it's gonna be really hard to see. You can't see it probably. It says birds of a feather. All right, so with a clear pad like there is on here, you can just make that out. Birds of a feather, and then it has a little feather engraving as well next to that. So it says that twice around. Really cool, just the details, the details. And now that we have this open as well, I want to go ahead and mention one of the other very unique things about this yo-yo is that it's a D-size bearing. Not a standard C size or an A size, but a D size bearing. It's kind of a nice in-between. And I actually really wish I would see more D size bearings on yo-yos. It produces a little bit more rotations per minute, as well as just sometimes a little bit more of a stable yo-yo. Just has a different feel, honestly, than a C-size bearing. You can definitely tell the difference. Let's talk about the shape. This kind of does not fall within a traditional category. When I first looked at it, I was like, oh, it's maybe an H shape. The more I play with it though, the more I kind of feel it in the hand. I'm kind of leaning more towards an organic. It definitely has that bubbly sort of feel that most organics have, but it also opens up like a H shape. It does have a little bit of a wall, not a high wall, but it does have a little bit more of a wall than maybe like an open like V shape might have. So I'm kind of leaning more towards an organic or maybe an H shape. There is quite a bit of rim weight, but what's actually more of like a center weight, a mid-weight yo-yo. It's gonna have a really nice, fairly stable feel to it, but just really gonna be really good for maybe things like regens. It's just kind of a smooth feel on the string. That matte finish is really nice, fairly simple. It's gonna be really good for grinds. That shape's gonna be really decent for grinds as well. The bowls are deep enough that you could probably get some finger spins and things like that in there. I love that colorway, of course. This is the coal mine colorway. So it's black with this sort of, I don't know, copper, bronze, something like that, acid wash with a little clear. So it kind of blends into the clear as well. Full size, but it doesn't feel kind of full size. It feels kind of even more on the undersize, mid-size kind of feel. But it feels wider than it really is as well. It's got a really nice, comfortable feel in the hand. All right, that's enough talking about the Canary in the hand. Let's go play it. All right. The first thing you're going to notice from the first throw of the Canary is how smooth it is. Butter, and this bearing in particular is very quiet. I've been playing it for about a week now, and I've been playing it pretty consistently every day, and I've never gotten that. You know how like when you're breaking in a bearing, sometimes it gets that little grind, it just kind of hits that. And I've not noticed that at all in this. It's still very, very quiet, very smooth, is super smooth. There's that grind. Let's go ahead and do some of those standard tricks. gap is not a necessarily a performance gap on there. This is more of a laid back feeling yo-yo. You could push it, but all the specs and the shape and even a little bit of that high wall is definitely not a performance or competition driven yo-yo. It's a very fun yo-yo. So you're gonna get quite a few string wraps, but it is gonna drag a little bit more because there's a little bit of that wall there. Likewise, it's not probably gonna be ideal for horizontal, but it's not too bad. It does fall a little bit. Yeah, it's gonna kind of just roll around on the bowl there. There is that little bit of flat space on the hub there, but it's not, you know, I don't really feel the engravings. The engravings are really nice on this too. They're not super aggressive. They're very smooth to the touch. And so I don't even feel them on the nail. A lot of times engravings on hubs, you can feel them on the nail, but I don't really feel this one at all. Really decent for rejections. Really nice on those binds as well. Pads are really good. And you know me, I'm not a competition-driven player. I don't compete at all. I like more of those laid-back, sort of chill, broken-in sort of feel yo-yos. You know what I mean? This has that. It definitely has that just super chill vibe. Like I could throw a long session with and just kind of just keep exploring new tricks and kind of really get that state of yo, you know what I'm talking about, where you just kind of get into a feel of tricks and just kind of just get into a vibe. So I really like it for that reason. Let's go ahead and do some regens, because this yo-yo is really decent for regens as well. Yeah, it's just super smooth. I'm gonna do some Eli hops too. That gap's really easy to hit. Like I said, it kind of has that feel of an undersized yo-yo in the hand, even though it really technically isn't on the specs, but it feels wider than it really is. And you can tell in that gap when you're reaching for it, for things like Eli hops, you don't have any problem hitting it. So let's go ahead and throw one of my tricks and then we'll call it a day. Really like the Canary. I think it's a great collaboration. I'm glad that they did a second run of these so I can get my hands on one. I really like the new colorway on this, particularly just because it's just fun, especially for those collectors. So if you had one from the first run, you might want to go ahead and grab a second one, just because the coal mine one, it's super cool. I think that's clever. I love the colorway. This fits my style as well, as far as my preferences and colors. But I really like the play of this feel in this yo-yo. It's just super smooth, really laid back. I think just the shape with that sort of blend of organic as well, that lends it really well to my preferences. I think that gives it a lot of a laid back feel, but I think that D-sized bearing also really helps. It gives it a little bit more of a stable feel, but lots of spin power as well, because you just get a little bit more RPMs on it. It's kind of similar to whenever I talked about the Quail with the ART. That was an A-size bearing, but this is not as small, so it doesn't snag quite as much and have as much break-in time maybe, so the binds aren't like as tricky to kind of work with. So it feels like a C-size bearing as far as binds. It's not really grabbing, but it has a little bit more power, I feel, just a little bit more RPMs. You can definitely feel that. So I'm excited for them. I hope that they do some more D-size bearing stuff, especially freshly dirty. I think they have some potential into that. So really great collaboration. I think this is what good collaboration yo-yos look like, kind of bringing the best of both sides. So good job, Radical C's and Freshly Dirty. So that's going to do it for my review of the Canary, and as usual, good day and good yo-yo.